Hello everybody and welcome to another one of our training videos. All these weeks we've been looking at how to be a leader, how to be a more effective leader. We've been looking at leadership traits, leadership qualities and leadership skills, all with a view to helping improve your leadership skills and knowledge. Today we're going to talk about an aspect which you may say to yourself, well, it's not totally leadership. But you're going to see where it fits in, because for me it is. It's an integral and indispensable part of being a successful leader. We're going to talk about personal assistants, or PAs. Maybe you're in a position in your organization where you can have an executive assistant. Or it could be you're an entrepreneur. You've got your own PA, but it could be that you've got a VA, a virtual assistant. In today's world where technology and internet allows us to have assistants throughout the globe, you may be using a platform where you have a contact in another country that allows that person to be your assistant wherever you are. That's the beauty of the world we live in. And leadership still carries that through, because whether it's a PA, EA or VA, an assistant is critically important. My name is Igwe. I have over 35 years experience of leading, growing and developing teams across 5 major markets in Europe, Middle East and Africa. And the one thing that I've discovered throughout that period of time is that whichever country I've lived in, the value of a personal assistant is immeasurable. Now at the same time, you may be saying to yourself, well, I'm not at a position yet where I have a PA or have an assistant. That's okay. Hopefully you'll come back to this video in the future, or just think about some of these elements and say to yourself, okay, I see how it can fit in. On the flip side, maybe you're an assistant already today, and hopefully some of these will provide you with insights as to how you can improve to support your boss. Now, inevitably, for the purposes of this video, the majority of PAs are female, so you'll hear me refer to them as females, as she. But in some cultures and some countries, they are male. So let's get into it. Why is a personal assistant so valuable? Well, the first is to realize that the ability for the leader to succeed means that certain things that he or she is doing are taken on board by the assistant. For me, the assistant is a pivotal and valuable individual in an organization. I have, thankfully, over the years, had people congratulate me and thank me and send literally beautiful words that I pass to my assistants, because they have been able to make the external world understand the role and the importance of what they do. So let's unwrap it a little bit. Very simply, and this is obviously way more involved, but to get a feel for it, personal assistants, one of their primary functions is to be the gatekeeper. Why the gatekeeper? Well, inevitably, and especially today where people have access to you because they can find your email address, they can find your mobile phone, whatever it happens to be. 15, 20 years ago, I remember certain organizations that would not give out emails or mobile telephones of any individual in a senior position. The gatekeeper is there to handle the communication. People who want to connect with you from outside, people who want to contact you, people who want to have an appointment, a meeting. Even within the organization, there may be people who want to see you, meet with you, discuss with you. She is there to manage that process as nicely and as politely but as firmly as possible. So she's the gatekeeper. She's also there to manage your diary. This is incredibly important, especially for someone like me who travels a lot. The worst thing is to come back to the office and find that you have 15 people lined up outside your door because they want to see you and you've been traveling for 3 or 4 days. So you want to make sure that your PA manages your diary, not only in terms of meetings and appointments, but who meets you and when and how and why. whether it's internal or external. Clearly, if you have a request for meetings, you give them to her and she sets those up as well, but she manages your diary. She handles all the correspondence that you feel necessary to give to her. It doesn't mean that all correspondence gets handled by her, but it means that those that you can delegate, we've talked about delegation, things that you can dictate to her perhaps, so you have a quick dictate or quick notes, and if she does back in the day shorthand or whatever, she would get it done and send it out for you. So she handles all that sort of correspondence that doesn't require you to be communicating with whoever it is. And of course, booking travel, which is no menial task. Booking travel is incredibly important. Again, those of us who travel a lot, one of the most distressing things is when you're not on the right flight, you're not in the right class of positioning in the airline, you're not at the right hotels, your cabs or taxis or whoever's meeting you is not set up. There are clashes in your diary. Booking travel is incredibly important and something that requires concentration. Now, I would say that with my PA over the years, the one thing that she has chosen not to book for me is my hotel accommodation. She would do everything else, but as she said, where you're going to stay in relation to the meetings you're having and everything else, even though she's been involved in the planning and managing the diary, that was a risk that she didn't want to take. She had a sense of humor. She said, that's one risk I will not take, is booking you into the wrong hotel, wrong place, wrong time. You do that yourself, which I did because I had many air miles and hotel miles as well, so I was able to do that. So don't underestimate this. These are not menial tasks by any means. They are really, really important because you want to function at your very best. So she's the gatekeeper. She manages your diary. She handles correspondence that you give her to handle, and she books all your travel and accommodation. So all that is really important. So what are the skill sets that are needed to be an outstanding personal assistant? Well, here are some of them, and I consider the most important ones. So first of all, she's got to be discreet, loyal, and confidential. Discretion is one of the most important elements. Remember that you will be having a lot of confidential meetings and discussions, whether externally or internally. There'll be situations where you maybe need to terminate employment or reprimand somebody or whatever. So the necessity of discretion is so very high and incredibly important. She'll see a lot of confidential communication as well, coming from outside the company as well as inside. And there may be tasks that you have that she needs to undertake and will need confidentiality. And of course, loyalty is absolutely paramount. She has to have, and this is really important as well, excellent people skills. When things are getting a little tough or rough, internally or externally, or people want to meet up with you, or even the way to say things, which is why when it comes to the telephone, that's an important communication tool. So excellent people skills. She has to be incredibly observant of what is happening in the team, in the department, in the company that you can't always see because you're totally focused on your tasks and responsibility. So she's got to observe what's going on, and with that, she's got to be intuitive. Read people's body language, read yours as well, depending on how you feel, what's happening in your life, in your world. Maybe there are times you're not so communicative. Even through email, you can understand, and they can see how you feel, they can sense it. They've got to be, of course, highly organized. Organized both in terms of filing, in terms of where your files are noted and located, if that's what she needs to do for you, where your contact information needs to be, highly organized in all ways and stretches. Continuing on, she has to have excellent telephone skills, as I mentioned. How she picks up the phone, how she speaks, the way she speaks, how she responds. Sometimes we as leaders or bosses, we can't or don't want to take a call, so we ask her to deal with it. We have to put somebody off we don't want to talk to. She's got to be able to manage that with incredible skill and ability. You want someone who is a solution provider. You don't want her to bring all the problems that are available in your team, your department, your company, those that she can handle and can provide solutions to, you want to know. And even if it's not a solution, she can give you ideas about how she sees things. So ask her what her thoughts are. But that's very important. Solution provider. She's a firefighter. So if problems occur, things need to be dealt with, you don't want to come in the office or come back and find there's an issue. You want to know that it's being handled, it's being dealt with. Maybe an external supplier is very unhappy. Before you have to make a decision, she's going to deal with it as best she can, and then you kind of put the icing on the cake, or you address whatever needs to be done. And she's your bodyguard. And this is really important. And I love this one, because it's not just the reverse roles where it's the man that's the bodyguard in a sense, but the PA has a role where she literally protects you from any form of harm, which is beyond the firefighting. So she anticipates and sees what may be coming, and she informs you, supports you, prepares you for whatever it is that's happening. And I think this is one of the best as well, is she's got to have a sense of humor. She's got to be able to take that moment of maybe intense situation in the team, in the department, and maybe something you've said, or you're angry, you're annoyed. She's got to have a sense of humor to break it down. Now, I have had the privilege, like I said, of leading many teams in different countries and markets. And my last PA I had for 17 years. We moved from one company to another. She was loyal and wanted to follow me, and she did great service, which was fantastic. Don't underestimate or undervalue your personal assistant or your virtual assistant. But I'm going to leave you with one final and really important thought. At the end of the day, the reason I've put these up is you want to put the bar high. You want to put the bar high in terms of the expectations you have for a personal assistant, because that is what you're going to be measured at to the outside world. That's what you're going to be measured at to your team and your department. And that is what you're going to measure yourself at in terms of your performance. Have any of these things dragged you down? Have you handled correspondence that you could have given away? Have you tried to book your own travel when you should have given it to her? Have you made telephone calls that didn't go down as well and she could have handled it way better? You see, a personal assistant is there to support you. Now remember, just very quickly in closing, my PA that I had for 17 years, who I went and sought out from another company, I remember her telling me that she wasn't sure she was going to take the position with me. I had encouraged her to have an interview with my former PA in another country, which she did. And because I'd set the bar high, the standards high, she felt my standards might be too high for her to be able to meet. I didn't know this until 10, 12 years later, where she mentioned this to me in a moment when we stopped for a conversation. I'm grateful, A, that she told me, but I'm glad that I set the bar high, because in setting the bar high, I was able to achieve the things I wanted to achieve without difficulty. So make sure that you do that as well. Set the bar high for the standards of your PA, because that helps you to grow faster, to grow more efficiently, and you become a much better leader as well. And at the end of the day, don't forget to look after your PA. Show her love, attention, support, obviously in a totally business-like environment and manner, but nonetheless show that you care. The idea of an authoritarian leader, once again, doesn't really work. It doesn't work anymore. Create that relationship that will allow you to succeed together as a pair. Now, I hope this has spoken to you, whether you're a PA or an assistant, you don't have an assistant, or you are already an entrepreneur and have your own personal assistant. Just consider some of these elements and see how you can improve your PA and yourself in your journey. Feel free to like, comment and share, and of course subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Thank you.